as you're buying this coffee, the graders, like within these buyers, they grade coffee, how good it is from the farm. So after them buying the coffee, that's how they bring it to the market.
Okay.
So if they buy the coffee maybe from the Rwenzori region and bring it to Kampala right here, I'll also buy that coffee from them at a different price, depending on how you negotiate. So after buying this coffee, I'll have to decide on how to use it.
Okay.
Am I going to roast it and brew it to have this cup of coffee, or I'm going to use this green? I mean these beans. Already, they call them green, but they're not green in color after harvesting. But they're called green beans because they haven't been roasted or they haven't been processed. So am I going to use these green beans to use them as a decor or use them as a scrubbing material? Because
can use them for scrubbing?
Yeah, coffees can be used to make very many things. So it depends from the buyer. How is he going to use this coffee? So if he's going to use it for making beverages like these ones, he's going to go to a roaster. From a roaster, when they've roasted that coffee, is going to go to the capper. Because you have to cup that coffee to see how is it scoring. Is it going to be a good cup of coffee because you're roasting it because you want to drink it? Because you can't drink unroasted coffee. It's like checking, I don't know if some of you have taken the chigaji. Like it's chimemeruka, I don't know that word in English.
So we'll get a subtitle.
So like, if you've roasted that coffee, it's easier for you to pound it or grind it and make a beverage from it. So after roasting it, you cup it to see how is it going to score. How is my cup of coffee going to taste, you know? So after cupping it, that's how you get to the brewing process. But also the brewing process, after brewing it, there are a lot of things you can use to get benefits from these coffee residues that you've brewed coffee from, because you can use them as fertilizers, so it goes back to the farmer. So you see, that's how the coffee
like
chain.
A cycle that goes
it's
back.
A very big cycle that comes around with coffee. So that's the process.
So you said coffee is not only drunk; it can be used for other things. For example, you said for cleaning. So apart from drinking and cleaning, what are the other uses we can have for coffee? Because I believe that also provides a bigger market for the person growing it, for the farmer. If I cannot only send it to the baristas and the roasters, but I can also sell it to other industries that are doing different things. So what are those other different things that we can do with coffee?
Well, coffee, one thing is you can use it for decor because it's classy, it's well looking. I mean, if you have your bucket of coffee here and there are those green beans, someone comes and like they're touching them, that's decor already. That's one use. The second, we've been talking about the health benefits of coffee here in the show, so most of you know the health benefits. It has health benefits. The third is the coffee husks after grinding them. I mean, after milling them or pulping them, there are those coffee husks that come after getting the coffee bean or that ground bean. One, it can be used as poultry feeds, just like the way you can see growing maize grain. Husks. They can be mashed and
for the poultry.
For the poultry. Same applies to the coffee. Third, you can use or you can keep those coffee pulped residues or cherries to manure up and use them as manure. So you see how you're getting it's like recycling a bottle and you use it again over and over without like throwing away the products. And the other thing I talked about, scrubbing. You've gone to a salon or you've gone to a spa and they scrub you. So someone might decide to choose coffee scrub.
Oh, you can use coffee for the skin.
Yeah, for the skin, like because they're scrubbing you. So and remember, coffee has that solid, or after crushing it, there was that solid part that comes along with it. So they mix it very well, and then they use it for scrub. You want to go out there and you're smelling coffee. You're like, I've used coffee to scrub my face or scrub my body. So there are a lot of things that you can use coffee to do. Besides taking it as a beverage.
So that now brings us into the financial part of coffee, you know. Now, as a layman, you've told me all these things, and now I'm considering, I'm saying, you know what, this is what coffee can actually do for me. Okay, so I'm looking at a financial perspective. Yeah. Now, what kind of advice would you give me, okay, a layman who wants to get into the coffee business, be it from the farming, be it being a grader, being a barista? What kind of advice would you give me?
Well, you talked about the advice already. As we were starting the show, you said like giving birth to a child, but no one wants to talk about how the child is conceived.
Yeah, conceived, yes.
So to interpret this is, please, if you want to get into the coffee business, don't just wait for the coffee in a cup. No, go deep down to the farms, go deep down to the farmers, talk to them, get engaged, get to know your product as a coffee product. That's how you understand how best can you give out coffee products to the public or to the consumers. Because the moment you only want to have a coffee in a cup, or for example, you have a coffee shop, or you have a coffee business that's selling coffee or coffee equipment, you won't get to know the pain that the farmer goes through to make this coffee. So if it's asking for something like a basket or a pulping machine, you'll be like, you want to steal me, you know, like such things. But if you know the pain they go through, the hurdles they go through to get this cup of coffee here, then you understand the coffee chain, and it will be very much easier for you to invest in that business. So that's the advice I could give you.
So
get involved in the business.
A word out there for people who only wait for the coffee in the cup. When they tell you a cup of coffee is at this price, you should understand where the coffee actually came from. Okay, that is how you're going to appreciate the whole process. Don't just say, this coffee is too expensive, I can't do this. You should actually try and understand where the coffee comes from. So now that we have all these things in play, okay, I believe that with every industry, okay, there are certain hurdles, there are certain hardships that you go through. We talked about the first one, that was the pesticides, that really pulls down the quality of the coffee at the end of the day. So what are those other hurdles or those other obstacles that, you know, the people in the coffee chain will actually face?
Well, this whole conversation is all a bit about farmers, because you can say without a farmer we're not getting this cup of coffee, and without us, the consumers, the farmer won't do the coffee. Like
both sides,
they need each other. But then the hurdles that farmers go through, one is ignorance. They do things that they're ignorant about. Like for example, if they're spraying that coffee plant, do they know why they're spraying it? Do they know the effect? But if they are educated, or if they are sensitized about the effects, then they won't do.
They won't do that.
So it goes back to the advice that I would give the coffee person who wants to invest in the business. Try to invest into your farmers, or try to invest into your employees who are in the farms. Teach them, educate them. How best can they grow that coffee? Yes, I know they're the ones like taking place or doing everything in the farms, but they need this information.
They do need,
because they're ignorant. I mean, they're in the farms, they're in the villages. For you, you have information all over. You have smartphone,
I mean,
tablets,
readily available.
You read. Most of our farmers, for the lack of a better word, they're illiterate.
That's very true.
That's very true, because they're only growing this coffee to get money to pay school fees for their children.
For their survival.
For their survival, basically. They don't mind about like the good quality of coffee. But if you want this good quality of coffee, invest in it. You get. So that's one challenge. They're ignorant. The second challenge is people who don't pay the value of farmers. For example, you devalue a farmer by buying a kilo of coffee at 500. What are you up to? I mean, so the farmer has invested into the coffee project, from the bed seed to the main garden. He has looked after it for over a year and a half, and you just bring a kilo of coffee.
So how much would a kilo go for?
Well, there's a standard of coffee. I mean, UCDA put a standard of coffee pricing. It's around 1,500 a kilo. But you find a good coffee a good coffee business person is at least adding in value to a farmer. Maybe he's buying Okila at 2,500 or 2,000.
So
that's already added value.
So the minimum you can pay is 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500. Of recent, I'm not sure. I was reading about it. They were saying it's now around 2,000 a kilo, but I haven't confirmed that. So we shall have to confirm that before we confirm we bring it to the show. Yeah, but I mean, if you value the works of the farmer will be happy. Will put in a lot of energy, efforts to at least give you that good quality coffee from the farm. The third one is equipments. Like most farmers grow coffee, but they don't have equipment, you know. So if you have a pulping machine, you have raised beds, like after harvesting coffee. You have scissors for like pruning coffee. I mean, you're going to have a good quality of coffee. But if you businessman and you want to invest into this, please go down to the farms and give farmers these equipments, because that's how we're going to get good coffee on market in Uganda and worldwide.
Yeah, so with those, you know, the obstacles that you guys are facing, is there any organization, be it an NGO or a government body, that takes care of, you know, the coffee growers, and how have they helped, or is it just big gamble? People just be talking of how they're going to help you.
Well, not to be stingy about information, UCDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, is all responsible for this. Like, you have to put into place policies that are going to help farmers, that are going to help coffee business people, that are going to help baristas, that are going to help cuppers, restaurants, various people in the coffee business. But UCDA, I've tried so much to read about them and follow their works. I mean, they're not doing enough, like, to put in place these policies that help farmers. Because now you'll find, like you said about NGOs, some NGOs come in, but they find a lot of challenges getting into this coffee business because of a lot of difficult policies that are put up by UCDA.
So you have,
for example, just imagine,
bureaucracy.
just imagine you wanted to venture into a coffee business. That would be hard for you because of the policies that are there. Here you have to pay this for the license, you have to pay this for here starting a coffee farm. There are a lot of things that are involved to get into the coffee business. So what they do, it's different private organizations like NGOs that start up like coffee farming groups to help these farmers. For example, let me use, it's not I work with Enduro Coffee, and it's not blowing my own trumpet, but Enduro Coffee has a farmers association. It's called Enduro Coffee Growers. So it has a coffee shop, the coffee shop business, but it's also like has that Enduro Growers kind of association. So the Enduro Growers is totally different from the Enduro Coffee shop, because Enduro Growers helps to nurture these farmers, you know, give them information, give them products that they're going to use, and this is how you're going to help farmers. You're giving them information how to better their crops, how to better their coffee farms. So I wish everybody could do this, then we could have the best coffee in the market.
That's very true.
And we would have less challenges with farmers.
Okay, our time is fast spent. We are almost coming to the end of the coffee break. But before we go, we have actually gone through the process of it starts from the farmer and ends up in a cup. We call that from tree to cup. Okay, now Uganda is predominantly a tea drinking nation. Okay, people drink tea. Okay, and it's a very hard thing to convert people from
tea to coffee.
Leave your tea and take coffee. There are a lot of myths that people have about coffee. I once heard that coffee helps you reduce weight. Then someone else said when you drink coffee, forget about sleep that day. It's gone. So what are some of the myths around coffee, and are they true? Okay, for me who wants to get into coffee, I need to know what am I getting myself into.
Well, good enough, you're also using the word mints, so which means you're not true. But I mean, like, as a beverage with a catalyst, let me use the word chemical. As you're starting to take it, of course you will experience different challenges.
That's true.
So, but when you get used to it, then everything becomes normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are all those things you hear about coffee, my dear friend, they're not true. They are not true. Try to make more research about them. Watch the coffee break every weekend. You get to realize that the things are not true. Yeah.
So if I take my coffee at night, surely I will sleep.
At night, like at what time?
Let's say my bedtime is 11 p.m. So I take my coffee around 8, 9.
Let me ask you something. Would you eat supper at 11 a.m. when you're going to sleep?
No.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. Where would you take coffee and yet you're going to sleep? I mean, coffee is meant for like early mornings, during the day, you're busy with work, you want something. Like instead of taking those energy drinks, no, take a coffee.
But is coffee itself an energy drink? Because doesn't it cause some kind of dependence? There are some people when they wake up, a brother of mine, when he wakes up in the morning, he looks like a zombie. Okay? But as soon as he hits that coffee, boom.
It's addiction.
It's addiction.
It's addiction because it's like when you wake up in the morning, you always take a glass of water.
Yeah.
That's like your routine. You're addicted to that. Same thing applies to coffee. So when they get used, like their body system is meant for coffee. So when they wake up, they feel like they need coffee before they start their day. Same applies to the coffee drink. I mean to the water drinker. When they wake up, they feel like I need my glass of water before I start my day.
Yeah, that's very. I think even for me, a person who drinks tea. Okay. Sometimes when I don't drink tea, I feel like I really need to get tea. Yeah, but we've come almost to the end of our coffee break today with Amon. Amon, just look into the camera and tell people the last words. Okay, for this weekend. I know we'll still have you other weekends coming, but is there anything you want to tell maybe a new coffee drinker, the farmers, whoever is in that chain? Any advice, any last words you would want to give out to them?
Well, my advice is going to two people, the farmer and the business person, like the one who buys coffee from the farms. So listen up, farmers, wherever you're watching us from, you're in the village, you're in your farm, you're pruning your coffee, you're harvesting your coffee, please make sure that when these business people come to your farm, ask a lot of information from them. Make research. They shouldn't duplicate you. They shouldn't undervalue your efforts put into those farms. You get? So, if you're a farmer, make sure that you don't get undervalued. And for a business person, don't use your literacy or your information that you have about coffee to dupe these farmers. Please, don't do that. Let's all value each other, and then we shall have good coffee around the world, especially in Uganda, more so.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it there from, I like to say, Mr. Professional, Mr. Amon Mukisa, because at this point you're the professional here and I was the one learning. But thank you very much for the advice. I'd just like to add on to that, especially not only to the people who do, not only to the farmers and people who really grow food for us. A lot of times these people are actually taken for granted. Okay, for example, when I go to the market and I'm buying tomatoes, I'll go there and argue for a price that I think I should buy it at, yet the person who brought it actually went through certain trials. Okay, so we should be able to appreciate their work from the beginning until it gets to the end result. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes I can go to, let's say, a restaurant or to a supermarket and waste a lot of money on buying things that are not even Ugandan. Okay, but why can't I support my people down here? Okay, yes. So to the people out there who take coffee, who are planning to get into coffee business, the new drinkers of coffee, support the hustle. Okay, be Uganda, buy Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all we had today on the coffee break. Till next week, this is House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. Have a good weekend and happy Labor Day, 1st of May 2021.
like, you know, witchcraft, juju, voodoo, all these different things they call them, were sort of part and parcel of who we were. So there are many angles and schools of thought about it generally, but it has ended up affecting us in many ways. Important to note though, it doesn't only affect Africans and doesn't only affect African families. On the contrary.
So you said the white magic is better. They say white magic is better than the black magic.
White magic, black magic, it's all magic.
Yes.
And I mean, have you ever seen any African books on witchcraft? Well, maybe because we don't write. But the point is, it's everywhere. It's not just an African thing. Witchcraft is everywhere, and it has effects.
Right, Patricia.
Yeah.
You've had the question. Does witchcraft affect our families? And if yes, to what extent does it affect our families?
Witchcraft affects our families. It shouldn't be a question. It should be a full stop with an exclamation mark for emphasis. It affects our families. And how do we actually know that this is witchcraft? Yes, as you say, divinity wasn't one of the things that we understood, but we had divinity in a way. We had our own divinity of understanding, but still the divinity that we had also had witchcraft against it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, we had our own cultural, traditional way of worshipping and understanding, which could rhyme actually with what the white man brought, even if the white man brought us a white Jesus. We had our black Jesus. But even when we had our black Jesus, witchcraft was against our black Jesus. So when you look back traditionally backwards, you would understand that there existed that fight still in the back end. Yeah. So witchcraft, generation to generation, 7 generations in front, still following us through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Family Talk Show, and you're hearing from us here in the studio where we're talking about the effect of witchcraft in our family. So I want to just give you a context to this discussion. And we had a long conversation trying to get the panelists yesterday, and Onya Itudeka was saying, no, it's open-ended. We need to find a way of making this thing work and find a place to hold these things, because some of these things will need to have authority, and some of the people who have been affected by this thing. So a few years ago, we started the idea of the Family Talk Show. And this was born as a result of many of our families struggling with the situation in our families. You know, a family is involving a mother and father and children. Okay, and then children, you have grandfathers and grandmothers, and then uncles and aunties and nieces and cousins, and you know, and everyone in there, including the dogs and goats and cows. Because Patricia here was talking very passionate about that. I don't understand how dogs, I don't understand the importance of dogs in the family. So those are our cousins. Onyatendet has a new acquisition in his house for my very precious Taleni. I'm still fearing to go to his house because I don't know how I'm going to deal with Taleni's new friend, because me and the dogs, we don't work. But that's our family. And in most cases, families have good and bad. We struggle with many things. So having gone through a certain scenarios in my family where wealth was there, everything was there before I was born, I think in generation to come. And then during my time, I'm told that we had wealth, but I never saw it. You know, we sort of like lived in a perpetual way of poverty, of struggling here and there, because I believe my understanding of wealth is that it is there. When you need it, you have it. You want to buy a car, you go. You want to ride this, you go. Which school you want to go to, you go to, as long as you're bright. But then it wasn't the case. So I started struggling with this thing, and as a young man, I was struggling with it. Not that I was the one practicing witchcraft, but I was wondering, why did our family get to that point of so much division? Uncles are always living in fear of the other one. My mother's side is always countering my father's side. There's always something going on. And so as a child, I watched this thing. Then I realized that my other friends are also going through the same. In fact, for them, it was worse. For them, it was, don't eat from this place. When you're walking on this road, jump like this. Don't come back from the same road, because auntie so and so might have done this. They're tying grass. Oh, just crazy stuff, man. So I realized there was a lot of division in the family. When I talked to Pastor Joshua Mugabe, almost the same thing. We talked to Asa and Sekajolo, same thing. We know everybody. So we decided we're coming up with a family talk show to try to talk about these things. Not just witchcraft. There are many things that affect the family. So we started on the value system. Number one, we must have the value system in our families. And the value system in our family is built on so many things. But we wanted to say, families that don't have values, how can they build values? Values define the way we act in the public, define the way we become successful in life, define the way we become serious people in life and the things we do. That said, we discussed a number of things under the context, and at some point we got to a point when you get married to get a family and this, then people said, so hold on. Some of us are at 40s and 50s. These were two ladies who brought it. Because some things happen and we don't want to repeat it. And in fact, one lady wrote to us and said that for her, she doesn't like the mother because the mother was involved in witchcraft and the mother left their father, yet the witchcraft that messed up the father was coming from her side, and she went. Now they are successful, born-again Christian, living a happy life, and their mother wants to come back, and so she's delaying to get married because she doesn't want to get to a situation like her mother. And then she said, I don't like my mother, but how do you teach me to love my mother? I love my father, she wants to come back in her life, she moved on. Again, where did we find that? Witchcraft. Why is she delaying to get married? She doesn't believe certain things that has happened in the past. So we said, what do we do? In that context, somebody offered an advice and said, you know what guys, there are many people, before you tackle when to get married, you need to tackle why do people stay long without getting married? What are some of the fears? Witchcraft came top of the discussion points. So we said, building families, first value in the families, that's the series that we're discussing right now, Mr. Onyai and Patricia. And now we started with how does witchcraft affect our families, the ways of building. And then we discussed the ways to live above the effects of witchcraft in our families. And then we talked about how to love in our families. We discussed that last week. This week, particularly today, we are discussing how and the ways to bring back our people, family members who are still obsessed with witchcraft, but we want them back in the family and they are useful to our families. My question therefore goes to you, Patricia, Kahill. Number one, what are some of those ways? Why? First of all, do you have any family member who has suffered from some of these things, or have you been through this?
No.
Have you heard about a family member?
Not heard about a family member.
Friend?
I have friends, I have people, it's all over. You can't just say you won't see it. And mainly for us who have chosen Christ as our Lord and Savior and who listen to the speech and the intercessions of the Holy Spirit, you just see it. Even before someone tells it to you, the Holy Spirit just says, that one, yeah, this is happening. The other one, so yeah, it's all over. It is kind of crippled into people's lives that they don't even understand that it's what is holding them back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are discussing that topic, and I want the team to put that topic up so that everyone can participate, and I want to encourage everyone out there to be part of this discussion today. The topic is very simple, and if you would just remove the graphics from it so that we can see it properly. And yes, so first of all, forget the family system values are the other way around, supposed to be the family value systems. That's the best way. But we're saying how families can work together to bring back members who are obsessed with witchcraft. Now that you have said you have had and other families, you are aware of what goes on and what is happening. What are some of those ways that you think, when we discussed here, we can deal with some of those? I will give you a background very quickly. What happened in our family for us was to confront those who are doing it. We confronted them. Some people said, leave them out, ignore those people, don't ever talk to them, they are bad people, they are messy situation. And I, as a young person, 15 years of trying to deal with this situation, call the family meeting, say, let's get home. Who is doing this? And we call them in, sat them, says, number one, you've been doing this, you've been doing so. We don't agree with you. We don't want this to continue happening, but we're telling you your ways cannot be entertained anymore. If you continue with that, we will basically leave you out of the family. Now, when you leave them out of the family, they are going to live in perpetual poverty. Because the mindset, like Ochom told us here, you cannot pray when people are going to work for you. You think witchcraft is going to give you money. Ochom told us that last week. So you will remain in poverty forever. Jemima said that if you don't change your mindset, poverty will keep you there. You will continue to do witchcraft, and if that person doesn't believe in witchcraft, they will never be affected. You will remain a poor person all your life. Now, we have to talk about this thing, and I'm giving you guys time to process it. So for us, how we dealt with it, in summary, call them out, talk to them. Now, those who did not listen, we left them. I can tell you, they are not educated, they can't express themselves, they live in the same streets with poverty, okay? Their mind, the way they think and the way they process things are very twisted, and I cannot help them because we told them and they have failed. But if they are willing to drop their ways and come, we're willing to receive them. Okay? And then we say, so that you're willing to receive them, first you need to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, because you can't come, you are coming, and then you are still going to be running back the other way around. Yes. Yeah. So now that I've given you a context, starting with you, Odeke, do you want to jump on?
Well, I can. I've been listening to you, and
yeah,
there are a couple of things, I think we start from assumptions.
Yeah, that's the right.
There is an assumption that they want to be helped.
Yes.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't want to be helped, it doesn't matter what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But if I don't know, Odeke, I don't know that I need help.
Actually, you
while you can talk to them,
yes,
you have to have some operating assumptions. Yes. That's what the first assumption is, they want to be helped. That's the first assumption we're operating on. Assumption number two, we need to understand the function, the purpose of witchcraft and why they are engaging into it before we can help them. Because they have an agenda, they have a purpose, they have an end goal. And since they are family, you're sort of stuck with them. So if you try to understand the reason, the motive, the rationale behind them engaging in witchcraft, you stand a better chance of helping them get out of it. One of the reasons that people engage in witchcraft is on a human level, it's a need. Humans have a need for certainty. They want to know, will tomorrow be okay? We want to be sure. As a result, there are lots of different types of witchcraft and sorcery. There are palm readers and fortune tellers, and all this kind of stuff. So witchcraft is broken down into so many things, including horoscopes. Yes. People who read horoscopes, how will my day be like? How will my month be like? All of that is an attempt.
Serious? Horoscope?
Yes.
Yes, it's a big deal. It's also published in the papers every day.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about it before. I didn't think it was that serious.
It is.
Witchcraft.
It is, but the question is,
yes,
who is the author of the horoscope? Because it's published in the paper.
You guys are now being too scientific on this matter.
No, but that's
no, actually, this is the real truth. There's the thing. When he mentions palm reading,
yes,
I accidentally went into palm reading without even knowing. And when the guy was reading I'm like, hold up a minute.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yes.
Who is feeding into you? And then I said, Holy Spirit, am I in the right place? He just said, pack and go. I just picked my things and walked away. Like, there are things we do naturally tending to think that they're actually not witchcraft, but they are actually witchcraft.
Yeah.
Horoscope is totally witchcraft to the beam.
Wow.
so sorry.
Yes.
So again, here we're sort of defining what is witchcraft. So witchcraft in Uganda and Africa is defined by shaking and going to the witch doctor and all of these things. Yes. So that's what's in our head, that's what we know. Yeah. And since we are discussing about how to help those family members who are involved in that, correct, I was talking about why, because we want to understand why they do it. And I had mentioned the point about certainty. They want to know. Also, witchcraft, apart from knowing, has elements of, I don't have the right words, laziness.
I call it ignorance. Or deliberate ignorance.
But you want to shortcut a process.
Thank you. It's not ignorant.
So we're all working hard, okay? And you consult a sorcerer, a witch doctor, a wizard, a fortune teller, whatever it is, and say, what are my fortunes? I want to do this business. Shall I succeed or not? Yeah, that's witchcraft. And then if they tell you maybe you're not going to succeed, it is so and so who's going to succeed in place of you, and then you want to go and
remove what they're going to succeed.
Yes. Their success, apparently. And then, this person is aiding you affect someone else's success.
Yes.
Again, Odeka is waking up at 5 a.m. to go and work, and you want to think that the muscle development Odeka running on Saturday.
Actually, also when
madness of the
one is trying to affect you, also waking up at 5 a.m. But not to go to work.
Yes.
No, but you're going to affect.
Yes.
For him, he's going to work.
Yes.
That is how it's done. So it's.
But guys, do you see how, anyway, you are running every morning, Chief. You are telling us you're looking for shoes to run to build muscle. This guy is waking up at 5 a.m. to do something else, to get muscles because he wants to be like Odeka, and he thinks it is possible. Anyway, please continue.
But you see, you've raised a valid point, which I hadn't even talked about or thought of. That if you can put the same amount of energy in waking up early and calling on the ancestors and shaking all these things, if we just diverted that same energy into thinking and then acting, you still have the same chances. So what they don't understand is the laws of the universe. Witchcraft or no witchcraft. When you go up there on top of the roof and you jump from up to down, gravity will work on you. Witchcraft or no witchcraft. So meaning, what does that tell us? It means that there are certain principles that have been established in the earth. That the earth rotates around an axis. Okay. That the sun is in a particular place and the moon is in a particular place and the earth is in a particular place and the different planets and it's a constellation and galaxies. There is an order. So what these guys are trying to do is to disrupt that order. That one of the principles that have been set in the earth is that the principles of seed, time, and harvest. And it's not a biblical principle. It's a universal principle. That when you plant a seed, you don't eat the fruit the next day.
3-4 months.
Exactly. And you have to tend to the fruit and then weed it and then hope for rain. So again, if you understand, so if you try to explain that, hey, I know you're participating in witchcraft because you want to shortcut processes, but look, if we just worked hard, we can achieve the same thing you want to achieve without us having to go through all of this shaking and whatnot and getting cobra skins and getting a leopard this.
Some lizard, poor lizard is dying.
You guys are laughing about human beings are being killed on those
safaris.
Yeah, that's a sad part though, yes.
So maybe if I'm to get back to the point,
no, but you've given us a good context to understand. We're talking about this on the Family Talk Show, and I think it's important for us to understand this. I actually like what you've said, because some of these things we're not looking at it that way, but you've given us a very huge context and a lot of rich stuff for those who are practicing witchcraft to think about it. All right, Odeka.
No, so I'm just saying, if
so, how do we help those who are obsessed? Yes.
So one of the ways is to reason with them.
Yes.
And tell them, okay, if you believe in this and I believe in this, how do we come together? What are you trying to achieve? What am I trying to achieve? Are we on the same team? Okay.
Are you sure you're in the same team?
Technically. I mean, and most times you are.
Using the certainty, like
but
you said,
the
yes.
means.
Yes.
You want to use witchcraft, I want to work hard. You get? You want to shortcut the system, I want to follow the process. Because the process will work on you. Remember, you get on the roof and jump, whether you shook or not, gravity will work on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get? So one of the ways is to reason with them and show them that, okay, you know, there are universal principles to this, that we don't have evidence or not on whether Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos shake. But if it's money you're looking for and you're shaking, clearly those guys have it and they didn't shake anything.
And if they did, the probably shaking was working very hard, or whatever they do are doing work.
Exactly.
Yes. You are just working.
And that is a far-fetched principle. I mean, a far-fetched example, but it's what people look at as one of the world's wealthiest people. So you can come back here to Uganda, and there are a lot of people who have worked hard and didn't have to shake anything, didn't have to pay any homage to different spirits and all of this kind of stuff to get to where they are. There's certain principles of just hard work, and there are principles of belief. There are certain universal principles. So we're trying to tell these people that, hey, the witchcraft you're doing it isn't necessary. You're trying to shortcut a process. Just understand processes and give them live examples like that. Like, imagine you were given onions and baking flour and cooking oil and all of these things, and instead of doing the work and kneading them into dough and trying to make some delicious maybe chapati or baking something, you want to wave around a wand, okay, and sort of the ingredients will begin to come together on their own, and the chapati will fall in the frying pan. You see, it's process. It's process. Just do the work.
Yes. I hope you guys are understanding when you're the man has broken this thing. I told you he's a superstar.
I'm just saying we need to help them understand processes.
Yes.
But yeah, let me.
Maybe the guy has failed. Let me just chip in there before Patricia comes. What if you gave me onions, everything, and just because I'm ignorant about not knowing how to put these things together to make the chapati, and I see Patricia doing it very nicely, and then every time I try it doesn't work like Patricia is doing. So the next thing I want to do is that instead of coming to Patricia to say, Patricia, look, Onyaito Deka has been giving me onions, baking flour, all these things, telling me to make a chapati because he's tired of me borrowing a chapati from him, and he's now giving me these ingredients to do mine. But I don't know how to do it, and so I'm ashamed of going to Odeka to say, teach me how to do it. Can you now show me, instead of you coming to Patricia, you don't want to. You want to just go to Patricia and just, okay, not go to her. Say, if I cannot achieve this, I'll get it this minute. It's another problem. How do you deal with a person who is not willing, knows the problem, ashamed of the process that he doesn't know, and is not willing to come just before Patricia comes in? Yes. If you summarize that, you've given everything and they are not doing it, but they are going to do witchcraft on somebody else because they don't have the ability to know how to knit the things together to fix it.
You see, there are lengths to which you can go to help any individual.
Okay.
The problem with some of these things is they are personal.
Yep.
I can talk to you, but I can't intervene on your behalf.
Very true.
It doesn't matter how much you love me as my brothers, my sisters, my parent. Certain interventions that are personal. Okay. So up until the person gets it into their head that, oh God, I need to take personal action, I need to take personal responsibility. Up until that point, I think one of the most important things, maybe just to wind it up like you said, is for us who are believers is to pray for them, because there comes a point when you have spoken your head off. But again, there is a God somewhere. And that God made us, and He has our manual, and He has a way with people. While He gave them choice, He could put pointers in their direction, say, you know, what you're doing is wrong. There's also this option. While we have choice, God can actually prompt us and guide us, you know. Like when Moses went to Pharaoh, the Bible clearly says that God said, God didn't tell Moses, but it's written that God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. That means God has an ability as our creator for His own will and purposes to do certain things to prove a certain point. So Pharaoh also learned the lesson.
In fact, this lesson was hard because
It was a hard lesson.
he was taken in the middle of the Red Sea, drowned all his best chariot and charities and everything gone. Yeah. So yes, well, ladies and gentlemen out there, we're talking about the effect of witchcraft in our families, but particularly if you would put that topic up there, because we want people to participate and we want you to please send in your comments, kisses and disses. If you think this topic is weak, diss it properly. If you think it is good, please kiss it by giving us your own comments. It's all out there. We're going to read it. We're going to make sure you participate, but these things are real. You are there as a corporate man. Imagine you're Okila with your suit walking every day. There is some guy there who is busy taking the dust from your feet to the witch doctor to destroy you so that you don't wear that. And this is real, guys. This is real. So, but how do you love that? If you now find that that person is your cousin, it's your cousin doing that, how do you love them? How do you bring them back to the family to teach them, because they become a problem to you? So we're going to just listen from Patricia before we go for a break. Yes, time for you to shoot. Kahill, yeah.
You are just prompting my preaching side.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it now to the spiritual line.
It's actually right there on the screen, yes.
So, spiritually, there's a body, there's a soul, there's a spirit. All of these operate on a different realm. And in these realms, we also have to know that there is good, there is evil. But all the good and the evil springs power from one place. So it was God who created everything that he mentioned earlier. But then someone looked at God and said, "Nothing, sir. I am better than you. I'm going to become my own king." So he took out what he needed, and God was like, "But you are my son." "No, I'm no longer your son. I'm going to be fighting for the same seat that you're on." So we created the devil. The devil almost has the same power with God. The evil and good that we see springs from God, but the evil from a disobedient, self-centered, self-righteous, confused young man, if you're in family, young man, disobeying his father. And then he rallies other people. Because of his talents, because of his things that he knows, because of the power that he has consumed and understood about the realms and how they work, he can create. He can do a lot of things with that power. Now, let's bring it home. So we are in a family where a great-grandfather was enticed, or in his way looking for wealth and everything, he was introduced. He gets in, he grabs it. To wealth, he teaches. The same way when we get born again, we get to go with the good side of God and everything, we teach. See, going back to values. So now there's a thread. 7 years down the road, 7 generations, there's a grandfather who knows, who taught just witchcraft. Spring your powers from the lake, go and fetch water from this tree, kill a goat from this grave, when so and so dies you do this, so that this wealth can stay in a lineage. When on that side, on our side, we are saying, God, you give, you take. Whatever we believe, whatever we have is yours. We return it back to you. See, now, what I'm trying to show is, there's a brief set on both sides. They have an idea of actually what they're doing. But because there's a generation that did not get, like sometimes when you are in the Christian side and you're born in a born-again family, like I was, or like I am, you never get to know about witchcraft until you are old enough, getting married, friends, and then you're like, wait, they do what? Now, when the same thing happens on the other side, like, wait, there's a God who loves, who does not fight for things like we kill people for wealth. He just gives. That's the same thing that happens. So how do we redeem? First, Jesus just said it, preach my gospel, bring people to me, call them in, let them know how good the Father is, let them know the sacrifice I've made actually to destroy every other sacrifice that would come through. The ducks, the cows, all those other ones. Even the human beings, the normal human beings that they kill, cannot overtake what Christ gave. So that is the message that has to come through. Before you even go into understanding how they do it, you have to first bring in the brief set, revalue them and say, you know what, the value that you're looking into, the value that you're working with is not the right value because it sprang from this. You have to take it home to the ground that says the foundation of everything of this world is God. And because God is the foundation of everything, there was rebellion in heaven. There was a fight, and someone, that devil, did this. So you are following this trend, which was not the original line. We need all of us to go back to the original line. And the original line is this. Yes, I understand your mother introduced you, your jaja did what, your grandfather did what, you had thought this is the best way. But it's not. Because some people actually do not know that it's not. Others are on this side, but because our God takes his time, in his right sense, because he's all knowing, at whatever time I know I will give it to you, we tend to think, God delays, but so-and-so said it will come tomorrow, so let me try. We have also to evaluate that and teach more. To believe, the faith. What does the faith mean? What does it mean to just continuously be patient with God on God's word and what he said? What does it mean to just be faithful to what you asked and stay in the same line until it comes to you? Because the impatience that we have tends to dwell us. It dwells you because I need the money today. Okay, you need the money today, but for what? We never actually have an answer for that. That immediate need that you're saying you need now, that is going to make you fall off.
A car.
Excuse me, why?
Udeke is driving a 2016
Why? Let's continue.
Subaru, my friend.
You want to buy a Subaru. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to feel to be like Odeke and also
why do you
walk
want to feel like Odeke? Are you Odeke?
Because Odeke looks cool.
Are you Odeke?
No, I'm not Odeke, but Odeke look cool with my friend.
No, that is where the problem is. You don't know yourself, so you want to be like Odeke. So find yourself so that you know what you need. You get?
Yes.
People do not know themselves, so they try to imitate the other person, want what the other person has. But everyone has a destiny. We have a purpose. We have a place where God said, Patricia, your name will be Kahill, not what your parents gave you. Your name that I'm giving you is Kahill. That is the purpose, that's the line I'm drilling you in. You're going to walk in that line. You're going to be Okila. And Okila, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. Follow this path, this is what it's going to be. But then you want to be Kahill. How are you going to be Kahill?
Because it's cool to be Kahill.
No, you're cool. Your side is also cool. Just because you're not patient enough to get to the point where your coolness comes in, you
the
want
coolness
to be
manifests.
Yes. Yes. My manifestation maybe I've been in fasting for 50 days. Yes. You want to come and remove and just get.
In fact, TDJ says, you want an anointing that took me 30 years of working without putting working on the food, you want to get it in 30 days. You must be out of your mind.
I have been fighting with God throughout the night, and now you're telling me I can't be Israel because what? I have been Jacob, and God has said you're no longer Jacob, you're Israel. Yes. But after fighting, have you lost your hip?
Your hip has been dislocated.
No, yes. It has not. Yes. So stop looking at what I have been and ask me, how have you got it? So if we're going to redeem people, it's more of manifesting and telling them the testimonies that run in our lives. To show them the light that actually dwells on us. The light that God has put on us. You know, you walk with that light all over you. There's a mark that you have there that says, this is my child. And that is the mark you're supposed to open that bulletin and say, this is my history. This is how God has walked with me. This is what has happened in my life. And if you get to the lane I am on, this is what is going to happen. But if you ask that person their history, I swear no one of those people has a booklet to show. From here, then I went here, this became good. Because most times everything they are doing backfires.
So if that was your friend called Okila and is doing that, how would you love me, Okila, now that you know that I have been trying to live Onya Itodeke's life? And I have lost myself in that process. And we are saying, put that question up there, that how do we help our family members? I'm now your family member, okay?
Well, and I've been wants to take what I have. Yes.
And I've been lost in trying to be what Odeke is, in trying to be you. And I don't know that I need to go through that process. Yes. So in the process of doing that, I've lost everyone in the family. I'm no longer with anyone. Yes. They all see me as a crooked witch, that they don't want to be around me. Yeah. No one wants to associate themselves with me because I'm a foolish man. I don't see it. How do I get to you? Bring me, who is obsessed with witchcraft, back to the family and guide me to the process that you have been talking about, you and Odeke? If I understood from what Odeke was saying, please, the law of the process is very clear. You are going to go through that process. If you bypass the process for progress, you are doomed. That's how you end up in progress. So come back to the process. Okay. It's the same thing you're saying. How do you help me, who is obsessed with witchcraft, to come back?
Okay, first and foremost, it's not going to be easily done in human nature. You have done a lot of things. You killed my kids, taken my money. Like really, I am in my human being naturally. I would be looking at you and saying, Ninja, I am going to throw you in a den of lions, they grab you and eat you. But then I remember the Christ that died on a cross, got beaten, poured his blood, and I'm like, and he's saying, love them, turn the other cheek, Kahill, let them slap. And I'm like, okay, Lord, because I'm your servant. Okila, did you eat? Do you have food? What is happening in the village? I'm coming tomorrow.
And I've taken your child and sacrificed in massacre.
I am not doing it for myself. You see, I'm doing it for my God. I'm doing it as a sacrifice for God, because if I contain the anger and everything, then I'm trading towards you. I'm going to become you. In the long run, I'm going to actually have the same anger, the same selfishness, the same self-pity, the same... I'm going to come to you. But then I have to show that even whatever you do bad to me, I'll do good. I'll go the David way with Saul. Like, I would have killed you. You see, I even have a cloth here. But I've left you to go because you are the anointed of God. You see, there's something here, I'll be like, you are God's child.